The Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3. Who knew this would be the best of NVIDIA and AMD in perfect harmony? Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety or Wookie Triple XL, and we have the 15ARH7 Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3 on deck for actually quite a while because I got quite sick and I've actually used it and reused it. And I've fallen in love with this little laptop, and just in general with the current trajectory of Lenovo. I was there when the Y5070 wasn't the greatest, and I was like, it's a good foot forward. They've got the right idea. They just need to tweak the implementation, and now, with the help of their purchasing of ThinkPad, I can't help but feel they've produced a very, very nice laptop in this little job over here. It's 20,000 Rand for the entry-level version of this, and that comes with 16 gig RAM with the Ryzen 5 7000 series HS edition as well, the more like higher spec variant of that, and the RTX 4050 6 gig. It's got a 120Hz IPS monitor as well with a webcam and nice Bluetooth and wireless and all the rest of it. And does it work? In a nutshell, yes. And it actually compares to the Lenovo Lock 16 in graphic performance, which I'm very happy to report, albeit with obviously quite a lot less CPU, because that's an i7 13th gen, which just has significantly more cores and wattage and heat attached to it. But this, in a smaller chassis, got quite similar battery life, even though the battery is a lot smaller. And this, I think, really is speaking to that tweaking and tuning that Lenovo in general have done. Anyway, let's go through what's in the box. So obviously you get a laptop and you get a charger, and because of Uncle Evetech, you get yourself a nice Neo backpack as well, and a 3-year warranty on this unit, which is very attractive to a lot of us for all the right reasons. Now, the chassis takes a lot of cues from the Lock 16, which I'm very happy to report. We're going to start off with the back, which is just a clean, basic lid. There's nothing on it to go be a little bit juvenile and shouty and just say, like, look at me, I'm a gaming laptop, which we like, so that it's got a good crossover sort of life, that you can use this for work and then play. Just a nice Lenovo in the top left over there. It does look really, really nice. It is brushed aluminium type of finish. The port setup is a big plus with Lenovo's, and I'm very glad to see this on the Ideapad Gaming 3, which is intended to be their more entry-level sort of chassis. Along the left-hand side, you're just going to see a single USB and then a headphone jack. Along the right-hand side, you're going to see another USB and a reset button. So if the laptop does come into some sort of problem, mostly with software, right, then you can just hit it with a hard reset, which we absolutely love. Along the back is where you're going to see the majority of the ports. You are going to see an HDMI, a LAN, a Type-C, and then the power input for the 170 watt brick that accompanies this. Yes, it's got quite a lot of wattage on that, and more than the components will actually use. So there's never a performance problem, especially when you have it plugged in. The monitor is a 120Hz IPS, and it is very nicely finished, and it doesn't have the most uber brightness, but on max it is enough that if you use it in a well-lit area, you're still going to be able to see what's on the screen. A nice thing with this iGPU mode is, because it's got an actual little Radeon graphics card inside of it, you get all of the Radeon functionality, including the ability to change color temperature and saturation. So you will be able to tune it to, say, a higher end monitor so that you can do some design work on the go. And obviously for us gamers, we love some saturation so that things just pop and look a little bit more vibrant. The accompanying keyboard and touchpad are once again really nicely finished. There's almost zero flex in the chassis as well. You can see I'm pushing down on it pretty hard and it doesn't move at all. It's very robust and well built in that facet. And then, like I say, the touchpad is really nice and big. It only separates right on the corners from the rest of the body, so you're not going to have to worry about it being like decaying over time and flexing too much, which is obviously very good. It's nice and big as well, so it is quite nice to use. If you're going to use it just on the go and you don't have a mouse nearby, you don't have to stress about that. And the keyboard is a chiclet type style. It feels pretty good. And the backlighting is not bad. Once again, it's not the uber most brightest I've ever seen, but at the price point, it makes sense that it has a single backlight color and that the brightness and stuff is going to be more than enough if you need to use it in a dark environment. Moving around the bottom, we're looking at the cooling now and the vents and the ports and stuff over there. It has basically exactly the same setup as the lock. And if you've got a really good chassis, to repeat it in a smaller size just makes a lot of sense. The cooling as well has an input on the side as well as the bottom. So if you're using it like I am on a desk like that, it doesn't struggle to get air to go in the side and out the back of the laptop. And the general look and feel of all of this is just, oh, chef's kiss for those little blue accents. Overall, the frame and finish is kind of simple, but I absolutely love that. It gives it a very chic sort of effect. It doesn't have to shout and go, look at me, I'm a gaming laptop. It's just a really good, powerful laptop. And so it's living that dual life, and it's still going to have all of the gaming features like a 120Hz IPS that's going to make it feel good, especially when you're playing like esports kinds of titles. And that is a quick caveat into the performance of this notebook. So the cooling and stuff is a little bit overkill for what it has. It's got a 7535HS Ryzen 5 in this, and it's just a 6-core 12-thread plot. And then we've got that RTX 4050. In this particular unit, it had a single 8 gig DIMM, but I put in another 16 gig DIMM of DDR5. So that it's 4800 megahertz. It's basic, straightforward entry level at that point. There's nothing too fancy about the memory inside of this, so it's not going to give you like uber performance from the DDR5 as we've seen in general. And with this Ryzen 5, that's not really what you're shooting for. But if we look at those Cinebench results, you'll see the single core not in any way going to compare to a 13th Gen i7. But the multi-thread was actually pretty good, especially when I ran a command that unlocked the proper power mode. Windows, I don't know why you're doing this to me, but it's fine because we have command prompt still, and then at least from that we can get that enhanced power mode. I'll put the link to the commands down in the comments so that you can do the same to your laptop to make sure you are getting the most performance when it comes to gaming. So, and when you look at the CPU results from the CPU profile stuff, it's an entry-level Ryzen 5. That's the idea. Well, it's a mid-range, I would say, Ryzen 5, and that's really the idea here. But when we get to gaming performance and the graphical performance, it was within a stone's throw of the Lock 16. So the 4056 gig has been treated the exact same in this. It's been given full fat wattage. I mean, it's got 170 watt brick to accompany it, but I actually managed to get a slightly better Firestrike score than what I had on the Lock 16. I went back and checked because I was like, 20K seems like really good performance. And then that carries over into AAA gaming, like Cyberpunk as an example. I got over 60 frames per second very comfortably through the entire benchmark run, which is no mean feat, and it goes into camera angles that you don't get to go into in your first person perspective. So you can assume that it's going to give you more than 60 FPS in AAA games. This is a 20,000 rand laptop, lest we forget. So the 4056 gig, I think the 40 series wasn't as well received on desktop as it should be being received on the notebooks, because if you compare that to a 3054 gig, you couldn't set the high texture because the core wasn't the issue, the VRAM was the issue. It was running out of video memory with 4 gigs. So now with 6 gigs, it can actually play AAA games, which is absolutely fantastic. The supporting components are no slouch either. The Wi-Fi gave me exceptionally good performance. It managed to keep up its entire bandwidth consistently from my machine, and it even peaked at like 100 megabytes per second. So if you've got gig fiber, you're basically going to be able to access that completely off of the Wi-Fi. 10 out of 10 on that front. And then similarly, battery life. This is something Lenovo just seems to be absolutely obliterating the rest of the market with. Most of the new notebooks that I test, they get about 4.5 to maybe 5 hours and change worth of continuous video playback. And like the LOQ, this went for over 7 hours. You can even see the screen on time there in the battery. It's actually underquoted slightly. It went about 20 minutes further than that. So yeah, 7 hours, nearly 7.5 hours worth of continuous video playback from a laptop is no mean feat. And obviously that's with full like power saving mode. And what's nice is with the software, which I've got on the screen over here, you can just change the iGPU mode. So in this instance, it's like I say, it's hybrid with the Ryzen chip that's got its own little Radeon graphics card inside of it. You can just tell it to use only that and disable the NVIDIA discrete GPU completely. And then you're going to get that very easily worth of 7 hours worth of continuous video playback. Means that you're going to be able to do like 8 to 9 hours worth of work on this, which is the entire point of a laptop, is having that mobility. So it's got that dual life, absolutely waxed once again, and then 20K with a 3-year warranty. There's just nothing that comes through at this specification with this reliable performance. The temperatures were completely under control, nothing was out of the sorts, and with gaming, you can't even hear the unit because of that overkill power cooling solution, at least, that they've put into this. Upgrading as well wasn't too difficult. I did have to remove this back piece in order to get into the then just removable bottom plate, but once I figured out how it was actually put together, it was pretty straightforward. There are a lot of screws and stuff involved, but it wasn't in anything that you need like a full IT degree on to get into. So upgrade is easy. It's got good standard components, drive, etc. Everything performed within the specifications and like my expectancy of something at this price point. The only thing that I would see them upgrade is the monitor. We'd love to see a 144 Hz IPS, maybe with just a touch more brightness. Other than that, it's still like pretty much going to be my go-to. You're going to see this probably quite a lot, especially when they put these things on special as the old units are now being phased out. These are just absolutely fantastic, and there's quite a lot of variance in spec as well. So if you need more CPU power, you can get it, and then you know the rest of the supporting components are going to be good. Anywho, that is all I have for you on this Ideapad Gaming 3 15 ARH7. If you have enjoyed this review, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.